board, and something that we haven't really done. First of all, um, it came to me yesterday when Ari was speaking at another meeting we had, as a reminder that even though, and I think we all should know here that we have raised, um, and I know we all see this, maybe 60 something thousand. The maybe most of that came from three or four different entities, and then the rest, which has been contributed, is about 25,000. And with 25,000, we really did a lot during the elections. So what I want us to think about, and on the Zoom today and across board, is how is this endeavor going to work if we're not willing to move, especially in the diaspora. We're not willing to move with our money. And moving with our money means we need to understand what is going on. If we don't understand what's going on, then it makes it much harder to have the funds, and the funds is what's going to make a difference. So Eric talked about the press conference, right, Eric? The press conference that's going to happen on the 15th. And then we also know that we have, and again, Ari said this yesterday, we had over 50 kilometers of trucks in the north. So, they've blocked, and then it's, of course, this is the resistance building. But this drivers who are doing something, truck drivers who are doing something incredible, need to be fed, right? And they need to be supported so that they can continue what they're doing. And so in priority, we need to raise funds of about $30,000 in the next week. And I think that is the true test of where we are. And it's going to show us in the diaspora what we're capable of doing. Now, I know that for Anjangis and different things that we belong to, and different tribal things that we all belong to, we can raise in upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But like I've said before, I'm going to use Meta as an example, or maybe the Bamileke clan. We cannot just say, even if we raise millions, with, say, for the Meta people, or they have water provided, it doesn't save, it doesn't make people safer, it doesn't change what's happening in Cameroon. So we really have to start going for Cameroon as a whole, and then everything else will come up, if that makes sense. I'm really just appealing to us thinking about this very strategically. So I'm going to give you another visual. And the visual is, if we have 10,000 people, so I think, Ari, you said there were 4 million in the diaspora, and somebody said 10% of that, yes. And if we only take 1 million, 10% of that is how many?
Well, 1 million, 10% of the 1 million would be 100,000 of us.
Or 100,000 of us. And we only need 10,000 of us. 10,000 of us to give 10,000 of us, to give $100. And I just want everyone to role play, just kind of play with me and, visualize what I'm talking about. So if we have 4 million in the diaspora and we only take 1 million, 10% of that is 100,000, right? And we only need 10,000. And if 10,000 each give $100, that would be $1 million. Okay, so, and I want us to think about that, because it just go right over our heads. I believe we can all eat an elephant one bite at a time. But if we think of the elephant in itself, we can't do anything. So we got to think about it one bite at a time, right? So we got to chow it down. We got to break it down. So, and if we don't start thinking collectively and harness, there's something that I always say is, we've been divided in Cameroon, we've been separated in Cameroon along so many lines that we are left in our own. And that's part of what's happening in Cameroon now. We don't even know how to react. In no place in this world would something happen, like, Anicet Ekane was killed, Anicet Ekane was killed in, and Douala would just sit. People would just lose their minds, and people didn't know what to do. And I'm not saying that's bad of us. I'm saying we should recognize that that is just how much we've been bitten. 40 years of all kinds of, repression tactics put upon people, and maybe more than 40 years, because, we're forgetting a lot of things sometimes, and it seems like it was all, I mean, part of it was good, but, I beg to differ that it could be more. But let's just say, for what we know, and the decrease, yes, it has been in 40 years. No pride for the country, and just going down. And so when you're bitten, just think of people who are in their 30s right now, the majority, people who are in their 20s, they don't know what it is like to lead. They don't even know what it is to have their own voice. They cannot even be a journalist without fighting. Are you with me? And even if you do, look at what's happening. Anybody can be killed. So that's why we're bitten down. But I want to just ask us all over the world listening, what happens if we just sit? What happens? And resilience is, that's something in our human nature that cannot be taken away. We have to remember, it cannot be taken away. And no matter how much you're put down, the resilience, it's an amazing thing, because there's always a way that you can stand up for what you think. And it really begins with the mind. So one of my propositions that I'm giving out, and this is of course not me, but from Project C, is the money. And the diaspora is in the money. So now I said $10,100 for 10,000 people. And like I said, it could be overwhelming, right? But if we look at it, like, everyone who is listening now from that diaspora, just think about it this way. If we usually, maybe 4 or 5 days on all the different platforms, sometimes we have over 10,000 views, right? So let's just pretend that only 5,000 hear it and say, I want to take something out of it. And if each of them contact 5 people just to give 100, a one-time donation, that's your deal. That's your thing for Cameroon. It's $100. It's $100. It's given, you're done. And so tomorrow, maybe some of us, I'm not going back. I have nothing to do with Cameroon. I already have the site where they're going to bury me, all of that stuff. But that's where you come from, and the other people who would not have the opportunity that you have to be here. So because we're human, we have compassion. If nothing else, you're not a political person. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not into any of that. Good. We're excited. If you hear that children are dying in Manfred, children are dying in Yaoundé, children are dying up north, or they don't have food, people are being killed, how do we sleep at night? So if you're hearing me, what I really want us to ask ourselves is, can I give $100 this month? And that's my one thing. Nobody, don't talk to me anymore. It's $100. Can I do that? And while I do it, can I ask 5 other people to give $100? If I am at my work, can I tell somebody at my work and say, listen, sometimes I'm going to ask you this question. Are you ready to beg? And just say, I want to tell you what's happening with my country. You know how people say, how are you doing? So, oh my gosh, not good. I'm not doing good. And we are not in lack of pictures. We're not. Pull it up, show them, send it to them. Non-Cameroonians, send it to them. Appeal to the humanity. It is for everyone to be concerned. And they would not be concerned if we from the country don't tell the story, don't tell our story, don't hide from our story, not be ashamed of our story, but talk for the sake of those who cannot speak. Really. So I'm just, first of all, so grateful, because we're forming all these different initiatives, and I'm sure by the end of today we're going to hear from so many people, especially us at the Zoom right now, who are representing all sending messages, and that's how this movement stays on. That's how Project C can do what it's doing. That's how we can have the impact that it's having. Okay, so I want to talk about a fundraising initiative or fundraising committee that we have, and I'm just so grateful that many of you are choosing to being a part of this committee, and I'm telling you, it's all hands on deck. It's a lot to do. Remember, I was talking about that 10,000. I want you to keep that in mind. And we can all do the 10,000, not because you're reaching 10,000 people, but because you just decided, I'm giving my 100 and I'm having 5 people give 100. That's it. So I'm going to pass this over to, I think we're going to start with Eugenie. Eugenie, are you here? If you can hear me.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Okay, very good. Please, are you going to come on camera? Are you able to?
Sorry, I'm driving, but I can.
Okay, that's okay, but you can talk. We can hear you. That's fine, please. So Eugenie is one of the our members on our new committee, and we know that we have a lot of work to do. So, you know, don't be surprised. We're going to send you a message. We might be calling you. We might ask you to call more people. But I am going to have Eugenie talk about, you know, this initiative that we're looking at, because we really have to put money in the center and know that we can raise 30,000, and really, as we all see, we can raise 1 million. Okay, so we're going to shoot for the moon and be able to fall among the stars. So Eugenie, I'm going to have you you know, talk about these initiatives. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for everyone who's here today. As many people already said, this is a very important and critical time in the history of our country, right? And also in the fundraising effort that we need to boost. And our thought as a team was also to remind people, especially us from the diaspora and from the United States, especially, we are, you know, people like to donate for the end of year, donate towards the end of the year, like contribute so that they can get some tax write-off. And so we were thinking this would be a great time for us to reach out to people that we know, to our network, to our friends, to our colleagues, and let them know that this is an opportunity for you to step up and stand with the people of Cameroon who are suffering from this, who are to join this effort, right? So use this as an opportunity to communicate with the people around you and invite them to contribute so that they can get tax benefit, but it's also going to help us to reach our goals. I personally know, I believe that we can reach a higher goal than what we set if only we decide to share this with the people around us. It's easy for people to give when they know the reason they're giving for, right? So this is, and I know I don't have much to say other than what others have already said, but we all on this call, we need to tell ourselves, I want to be the representative of the people who are going through these atrocity in Cameroon. I want to be the voice. I want to stand up. I want to speak and bring in the resources so that we can reach our goal. It's not a one person's effort. It's for all of us, and we will do it because together we are going to reach higher results and we are going to be successful. There are naysayers all around us, and some of them are even from our country. That I have encountered some, but we should not stop. We should set our eyes on where we're going, and we should use all the opportunities around us to spread this news, invite people, tell them there's an incentive that that they will get by contributing to this cause. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you again so much. Oh, back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Just trying to keep up. So I'm going to share a video because there's a lot of this gossip. A lot of times we're talking, but I saw this and I was so disgusted, and I thought I would share that because this is the country we're talking about. And sometimes we think of giving $100, we think of giving $50, we think of giving $25, and we think, oh, we're thinking about it. And I want to tell you why you cannot think about $100. You cannot think about there's no time to consider. We're going to be posting the different ways that you can contribute by Zelle, by Cash App, and right now, just in the diaspora, we're looking for other ways that outside of that in Africa, we can contribute. And I want you to know that that's going to come. So please hold your money tight. We need it. But I want you, why I want to show you is I want you to watch this. And if you're thinking, and I'll show you more, if you're thinking about, oh, should I give $100? Should I not give $100? I want you to see the people you see here and see if you have any feelings. Are you related to them? Can you relate to anything here? Or listen, if you cannot relate to anything here, then hey, with all due respect, not, hey, there's nothing we can do. But if you can relate, then you should not think about $100. You should just give the $100 and find 5 people to give $100. Okay, so let's watch this.
Yes, this is Cameroon, and I'm taking you today to the East region where the highest timber is being exploited in Cameroon. The East region, it is the depot for seasoned and world standard timber, which is one of the main raw materials that Cameroon export. And I want you to observe what is happening here. These are raw materials that are leaving the country, but look at the state of the road. Imagine the cost of this wood, this raw material that's living here. Look at the state of the road. This is a typical scenario of what is happening in Cameroon that many people don't seem to understand. Many people don't know what is happening in Cameroon. Look at this as an example.
Well, that speaks for itself, right? So again, I want you to forgive me, but we're going to do a few videos because we want to just put it in perspective. Are we going to think about giving $100? Are we going to think about giving $50? Or we're just going to do it? I suggest we just do it, because when we look at the $100 I'm giving, what I see in that little video, like $1 million is not enough. So we can all eat that elephant at a time. There's an urgency in you giving your $100 because we have to, it's that elephant, right? We got to build it up. We're dealing with a machine that has already stolen our money. When you send money to Cameroon for your family to do business or whatever, their taxes, they're stealing their money. They have to bribe. Nothing is moving. That's why the money is going down. So if we put money together, and maybe sacrifice sending money to family. I know that's a daring thing to say, but if we make that sacrifice this one time, it's going to make a big difference. Okay, all right, thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on to you, and later on, we're going to hear from Micah.
Great, thank you very much, Eli, for that plugin that you did. I have dropped in the chat the various ways in which people can contribute, and there are 2 big initiatives that you have highlighted that we should be taking action on. The first one is, let me just say, is the big event that is going to come up on December 15 in Paris, that has been as a result of the assassination of Anicet Ekane. Forces are coming together for us to show to the international community just how lawless, ruthless this dictatorial regime in Yaoundé has been, and just how much every international law or norm is being violated by the government of Cameroon and being sustained again by the international community. And then obviously we have the current situation that's going on in Cameroon, which I think everybody should not only be excited about, but angry about it happening in our country. Cameroon is, because of its strategic location with the port of Douala and now the port of Kribi, and I wish I was saying this, saying there was going to be a third port in Victoria. It's not there. But because of that access that we have to the ocean, we have a lot of movement across our country of trucks that are delivering goods that go from the ports to this, to the north, and very come through our country, through the difficult and terrible roads that Eli just showed. And upon the bad roads that we have, I heard one of the drivers saying that when they drive from Douala to the border and they get into Chad, from the toll gate that they have at the border right up to N'Djamena, the capital, they have no police stopping them to check their documents and all of that, because there is a system that tracks you when you enter into the country and until you leave. But in Cameroon, every so often you have these police checkpoints, or with the gendarmerie, the police, and everybody taking money from these people. And this one driver was beaten up by a police officer for not giving a bribe. And this really inflamed the other drivers. Like, why would a police officer or a gendarmerie officer beat up a driver because he refuses to give bribe? But that's our country. In the last 3 days, today is day 4, we have seen the resistance. People are fed up. And so these truck drivers went from 10 trucks to 100 trucks. And now it's 50 kilometers long of trucks that have decided that this must come to an end. We can't continue having gendarme officers and police officers on the road, in a lawless country where it doesn't matter whether you have your documents or not, they will still take bribe from you. And this happens, so on that road, there's just so many of those stuff. So they forced the gendarmerie officers to actually break down their gendarmerie post. Because of their action, the Minister of Territorial Administration actually decreed an end to this checkpoints on the road. But for them, that was not enough, because they know that tomorrow is going to be back. And for them, they posed a very, very crucial question: is the by the streets. So it was Martin Luther King that said, justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And as we look at things in the context of the political arena, every injustice that is done to the least of us should affect most of us. A threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And none of us is shielded from this. We may think we're far remote from what's happening now in Benganga, in Gaundere, in the Adamawa province, but it affects everything that we do. We just spoke about the loan from our pre-Exim Bank, which is a loan that is supposed to go to a solar electrification project, which obviously is not going to go into that, right? We obviously know that money is going to go to sustain the government, to pay salaries. But that's the problem, is that the bank is giving you money hoping that they're saving the lives of thousands or millions of Cameroonians that will now have access to solar electrification. We know, you know, the government knows that that's not going to happen. But who would be left to pay that debt? It's generations of people that are going to come after us. You know, we know, all of us know. Look at Sonora. Sonora, it alone owns about 43% of our external debt. One company, the company that should be bringing us the most money. For the amount of money is outrageous that Sonora has in debt, 43%. So every time a driver in Cameroon pays for fuel, think about it, it's almost 900 francs now for a liter of fuel in Cameroon. Probably only 200 is what it actually costs, and most of the money is going to service debt. So everybody, every Benzikin driver, everybody, these are things that explain to us how the impact of having this government the government that lost the election, it's just so much injustice that we should be totally outraged. And I really want to emphasize this beginning. We were talking a little bit about the absence of the church that should stand for justice, that has not played its part. All the churches, let me not use the word that goes to my, every, born again, ecclesiastical, evangelist, every Christian church, every mosque, we've seen how even the imams that we thought will be free of corruption, they too have been corrupted. The chiefs in our country with culture, tradition, they too have been corrupted. And unless we all want to live this life of a lie, we have to start holding these institutions that form the fabric of our society accountable. So it is that injustice that continues to inspire us to keep doing this work that we have to do. Because if we don't, who will? And if we don't do it now, when will it be done? And that should be a question that everyone should be asking themselves. Every one of us should be asking ourselves, who will do it? When will they do it? When will that change come? 43 years of waiting. And we still, I would say even 6 have not found, we haven't. Experiment that would have been at the envy of Cameroon, of Africa and the world.
I read on the thought. just want to say, I'm saying yeah for Ate Taku because he said bankruptcy of the government is near. Keep the drivers on strike. That's the point, is get them out. And, you know, a lot of times when you talk about the generation and that it generations down that owe this money, it's so far removed, you know, and how do we really make that active and just think that's a now thing? And I think that for those of us who are in the diaspora and we have our children in the diaspora and we can't really relate
one organization that is going to transform Cameroon to the Cameroon that we want. It is going to be all of us working together. In the last week, I've been really trying to highlight this notion of a united front, that we have to see ourselves as united in this struggle. So even when contributions come to Project C, it is not necessarily that we are spending this money on projects that we design ourselves. No, there is broader collaboration. We're working with other groups that are doing effective work, taking action on the ground. We are probably doing the best that we can to inspire, to educate, to engage, to communicate. But the most important thing is that there is a movement of various groups and that are participating in this process. And it is that collaboration that we're not putting the interest of any one group over the other. We're putting Cameroon first, and any initiative that will lead or move this country forward. We are aligning ourselves with that initiative, as long as it's one that is moving us towards our goal for a peaceful transition in our country. So that's something that everyone should have at the back of their mind. And so that's why we are even talking about supporting these drivers that are now taking action, because that's one way in which we have to demonstrate to the world how illegitimate this regime is, that they do not have the ability to work with drivers on the street. Drivers wouldn't take orders from a government that is illegitimate. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Ari, I also want to, I'm making sure I'm, if I don't keep over.
Oh, I saw.
Did you see that? Okay.
I've seen the question from somebody who says, Ari and Project C, let me play the devil's advocate and naively ask that you state clearly what you would expect the Catholic Church to do. The first thing is, Val, I know that it's been overused, this thing about the devil's advocate. I advise everybody to never want to be the devil's advocate. Associate with what you think is good and right. So advocate first for what is right and what is just. That will be the best advocate that you can be. Secondly, let me state this for that historically around the world, the purpose of the church is to stand for justice. The Catholic Church is based on the Christian faith. And Christianity comes out of the example of Christ. And Jesus Christ himself never stood for what was wrong. He chased the Pharisees out of the church for collecting, doing exactly what we are criticizing the church for being there only to collect from the people and yet never standing for the people. So here's what the Catholic Church can do. The Catholic Church can simply stand for the truth. And that's all we ask them to do. Be the voice of the truth. Just stand for the truth for one moment. And here's what the truth is. They know who won the election. They had 12,000 polling stations. They know. Just release your results. And that's one simple thing that they can do. And why is that important? Because the people that they profess to serve made a choice that is contrary to what they currently have. And that's why the apostolic nuncio, or whatever they call it, embarrassed himself in Bamenda by saying to the people that President Paul Biya was His Excellency Paul Biya. That Excellency dropped it. Mr. Paul Biya was the president of Cameroon, and the people objected to that. We know that. That's the truth. So let the church stand for the truth.
And okay, go ahead.
Secondly, the church knows the misery in which our people are living. Misery. They know that. They know that people don't have access to the kind of education that they deserve. They know that people don't have access to the roads, to water, to basic necessities. These people pay taxes. The church knows that. And the church must stand for the people. The church must represent the least of us. And the Bible says, whatever you do to the least of us, you do unto me. The church must stand for the least of us. That's the example that the church should stand for.
Are, you're so right about questioning. We're in a time in the world history where if we're not able to question ourselves, our humanity, and we hide, a church cannot teach us humanity because it comes within us. Now, I am not here to criticize the church or that, but I'm here saying we have religion per se, not the Bible, not God. We have to question things. Only in the questioning do we get better. And this stereotype, I think that we as Africans, and we have to be honest, missionaries were there. History, I'm not the one making this up. We all know what the missionaries were there to do and why Africa is here. It's like, we have to question, and we have to stop mimicking and repeating what has been done and insulting ourselves. We know what it is to believe in God. We know what it is to walk in the light of God. And so if we're being stopped and, people feel uncomfortable. I would say that I was born a Presbyterian because my father's a Presbyterian, my mother's a Catholic. And so there's a lot of that. And I'm not here to indoctrinate anyone. I just really want to say that first, because no, what I am questioning is, I'm saying, when we don't ask the questions and we just believe and flow, how has that changed us for decades? I want to ask you. We know that the church played a role in Germany, Catholic Church. We know that plays a role in a lot of different things, and many other churches are playing a role in Cameroon right now. So how can the people who live, who eat, who live in the same community, who are killed, go to church and nothing is talked about that? Does that make sense to us? And we refuse to ask questions, and we refuse to ask the clergy people whom we are giving the moral support, and we're not asking that. What does that, it's not about them. What does that say of a people who don't question? What does that say of the generations to come? How are we training them? What is have to rise up? We have to rise up to take our country. And that is going to make us very uncomfortable, because in order for us to do what we've never done before, we're going to have what we've never had before, which is independence. We're going to do what we've never done before. And the process of doing that is difficult. Let's face it. And that's why we're having this conversation. Someone said, oh, we're talking a lot. Yes, we are. This is the first time in the history of our country we really have to understand the milestones, that we are speaking as one Cameroon, French, English, whatever language, as one, broken English, pidgin English, bring it on. We're doing that. It's the one time that we're able to do that. So if this is the time, we have to feel comfortable about having these conversations, not breaking ourselves down. We have to question. I dare who will be going to church tomorrow. Maybe stand aside and ask your pastor, what do you think about this? Could we talk about this? Or what are you doing about that? That is being human. That is being concerned about Anicet Ekane, who was killed. That is the concern. We have to do it. Then they start thinking. Project C wrote a letter. It was silence. And when we wrote a letter to the Pope, it was published. And boom, a conversation started. So I want to encourage us, let's not lag behind, and let's not cover ourselves. It tricks people, it tricks the curiosity, and we can change. We will be uncomfortable, but we will change. And it's a time for Cameroonian people to be uncomfortable everywhere so that we can change. And that's why we're here, for Cameroonian people, with no apologies. So okay, I'm going to pass it on to Kingsley. Kingsley, I see that you're here, and I know that you had something to. Are you ready to share a video or document? Kingsley, are you there? Okay, I think he is. Okay, yeah, you are. Okay, yeah. Frozen. Okay, good. We can see it.
Kinsley, 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 please go through the question 6 before you stop. Go through question 6, which is what we are doing today. What is the way forward? Yeah, the question 5. Thank you very much, Kinsley. That is, and this is not, this this is a stark contrast between LECAM, the results that the people are manifesting from a sample like this, you know where the country is. But I just wanted to read something that that somebody just shared here, and it just ties with everything that you've been saying. And it says, we know they are lying. They know they are lying. We know they are lying. They know we know they know they are lying. And yet they persist in lying. And that's something that everyone should think of. The church knows that the government is lying. Everyone knows it. So why can the church not just stand for the truth? And this presentation is a demonstration of how every Cameroonian knows that this government that exists is a lie. And yet that lie persists. It only persists because some of us tend to now associate ourselves with that lie. We tend to perpetrate that lie. We give that lie the life that it deserves to continue going on. So we must stop the lying. And if lying is not what we will teach our children, then we must hold accountable anyone that is standing for a lie. Because absence of you criticizing the lie, you're complicit, you're perpetrating that lie. And we don't want to do that, not us. Because again, when we started Project C, we said this was Cameroon's moment of truth. And let's stand for the truth. So I think at this point, we want to open up comments, raise your hand. This is the open forum part of the conversation today. We ask people, let me just also say, because we want to do this. Too often it is said that we are afraid. We are afraid of the repercussions that it would have for us stepping up. If few of us step up, then few of us become the target. If all of us step up, because it is all of us. And for the fear that we're talking about, I think we need to think about fear from the perspective. The people that are most afraid now, it's not us, it's not Cameroonians, it's the people in government. And the reason it's because of because they are afraid of what the people can do. That's why they clamp down on the people. That's why there is the mass arrest of people. That's why all of those things are happening. And if we keep the pressure on them, their fear is going to be what leads them out of power. So this is the moment where we're asking more people to step up, more people to lend your voices to this campaign. Own it, be present. We have to take this moment. We cannot win this battle if we don't have courage, because courage is what is needed to keep this fight going. So we're going to open up now for anyone who I would love to hear, especially, and courage is manifested by those who are in Cameroon. We have people on the ground in Cameroon who are stepping up and speaking every day. And I have deep, deep respect for them, for doing what they do, knowing what the circumstances are, and they stand up for the truth. For those people, we must show, always thank them for all you do for Cameroon. So I know. Was Micah going to say something? If Micah is ready now, we can turn it to her.
Micah, can you speak from where you are now? Okay, maybe not. All right. I just wanted to go back a little bit. I'm not going to stay on it, guys, but you know, Ari has it on there. Many of us have seen that. We have now raised $450 and 500 pledged. So we're almost at 1,000, right, in 1 hour. And so if we have 1,000 an hour today, we truly can raise 12,000. So I'm just going to remind you while you're here, you cannot think to give 100. The thought really, who are the 5 people that I encourage? And I just want to say to you, dare to ask. That's all we have to do is to ask. Ask 5 other people if they could give what? Not $100. That's what we want to do. So we now have reached 550 and raised 500 plus, so we can keep this going. So that's the update. All right. Okay. I don't know if Alan, did you want to share? I didn't know if somebody. There's so many suggestions that I hear all the time. And Ari and myself, we're talking about how it is important that we are having these conversations and we're wanting other people to bring ideas. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Come on, we'd love to hear you. Take permission.
Can you hear me now?
Put the hand on and go on, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I couldn't find the place to put the hand on the thing. That's why I had to write a message.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks a lot for you guys for doing, you guys are doing a fantastic job, okay? I don't have a hat on, but if I had it, it would be off right now because, you, Ray, Eric, you guys are awesome. And all the team at the back. We are on this side, we keep making comments and we keep throwing a jab here and there, but that is to motivate you, nothing more than that, okay? I got involved in this just before the elections. I participated in some of the calls with the, the opposition members as they came on. And to be honest, I'm almost 60 years old. I learned a lot about my own country from that small activity you guys were doing. I discovered some super, super duper youths who I see as future leaders of our country. So we shouldn't forget those guys, keep them in the back burner and we can use them in the future. However, for the situation now, you could see we were able to raise quite a lot of money before the elections because there was a clear target of what we're aiming for, okay? I know it's a moving target now. Things change on a day-by-day basis, but we need to be very precise what we're raising money for, and I guarantee you people will raise money, okay? Like now you're targeting the truck drivers to help them. That has to be very clear, and if possible, also show how it's being done, okay? If you buy a cow and give it to them, even just a picture will show people. We don't want to expose anybody, but we need to show that something is actually happening with the money. At least for the other one, we know there was a lot of publicity, communications, all that could have to continue, and we need to keep doing that. One thing which I keep writing, I don't know if you've seen it, messaging is key in everything. You guys are probably communication specialists more than I will ever be. Can we use that word, the death of democracy in Cameroon? Everybody in the world understands democracy. The UN, the US, everybody talks about they want democracy. In Cameroon, democracy is dying, is being killed or has been killed. Can we make a big deal about that? Okay, that what is happening now in Cameroon, an African country where we're not known for democracy, people are trying to do democracy and somebody is killing it and the world is doing nothing about it. So if we make a big deal about that word democracy has a long history, it has a big meaning. Even my 5-year-old understands what democracy is. If we can make the fact that democracy is being killed in Cameroon and the world needs to bring it back up, I think it covers everything. It covers the Biyas cheating, it covers them being thrown out and the rightful leader coming in. Just that one word for me is super important. We need to use it as often as possible. Can we do that? I don't know how to do it, but you guys are good at it. Can we make that the flambeau, the banner, death of democracy in Cameroon? Whatever we want to do it, use that word as much as we can. Thank you very much.
Ari, I'm gonna let you respond. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thanks, Atanga. You have been
He
with
has been
us
on here for yes,
repeatedly and
absolutely.
invested.
And we've been learning together.
Yeah.
We learned a lot during that
And
time.
invested significantly in the course. I hope that one day when we have you know, got into that finish line that we hope. I mean, this work is never going to end. The work for the truth and justice never ends. It's going to continue. But I want to thank you for being part of this, for believing. I know where your heart is, and I know you want to see change for our country, and I know you're super engaged in the process. So thank you for that contribution. I'm glad you mentioned communication, because that's where this all started. We started with the idea that if we can communicate effectively, Cameroonians can understand what this moment meant for Cameroon. And it was months of just changing the narrative. We changed the narrative actually in Cameroon and empowered people to see this as a moment where it was a referendum on the government of Biya, and it was manifested in the election. So sometimes people ask for action and all of those things. What inspires people the most is words. It's always been from the beginning of time. And if we can, these words that we come together and speak and share every day, you may think that they're just words. But ask ask read history. It has been words transform people. Magandhi. People for us. People remember the words that I use because it is the words that inspire people into action. You can have action without inspiration. So before that, a challenge says we can start a challenge right now, Eddie. We can have
$500. Yes, $500 just came in.
Yeah.
Actually, so
Yeah.
this is Ate. Yes, Ate has given $500. So, I mean, this is what it's about. You know, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm about to jump out because I know the difference that the money is going to make, and we need that. So, okay, we're going to listen to Eric, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks. All right. I hope we'll hear from Babila. Babila, I know you're on the call, and Babila is with Equinox and has get a really good sense of interpreting or reading, the events in the country. So, Babila, I'd just love to hear from you where your reading of the situation on the ground in the country now. And it'd also be nice to hear from Chrétien Tabesing, who is a very deep political thinker, and very involved. And it'd be nice to get Chrétien, qui nous dit un peu quelle lecture tu fais de la situation au pays aujourd'hui. So, yeah, so we'll do that. But before I hand over to both of you, I just wanted to say that to reinforce what Ari said about communication. The one thing this government, one thing Yaoundé is afraid of is exposure. And this has been the case, I can tell you, since Amadou Ahidjo. So it's a culture of our politics, the fear of exposure, the fear of information. And what we are doing now, and I want you to understand that we are conscious of what we are doing now. We're not bringing information to destroy. We're just bringing information to educate. You'll be surprised that even Cameroonians, the guy in Yaoundé knows what is happening in Ngoakele and knows what's happening in Bogada, but has no clue what's happening in Gomapubi, or has no clue what's happening in parts of Douala, not to talk of the other parts of the country. You know, people have general ideas, but they don't see it coming together. And our media, and I say this, which is one of the reasons I called on Babila, our journalists have been cornered into packaging and selling information. Packaging and selling information will be being paid for information. So the three things have been missing. Analytical journalism is missing. Investigative journalism is missing. And broad informational journalism is missing. I call on Babila because he and a handful of others are amongst those who are trying to force change in that domain. And if we don't force change in that domain, Cameroonians will remain ignorant for a long time. So part of the work we're doing is part of the money. I mean, this whole thing started with raising money to improve on that. And every day, believe me, we are thinking about that. How do we improve on the quality of information going to Cameroonians? I mean, look at what we are trying to do on the 15th of December. We need 20,000 euros for that, maybe more. Nothing will shine the light on what's going on in Cameroon like that event. And we will continue to do that. So it's important as we go along to know that we are not just this demand for money. I mean, I'm so uncomfortable when people ask for money. I keep telling Ari and Elizabeth, I don't know how to do that. And it is true, but you can't do anything without money. Cannot. We have to fly people to Paris for this event of the 15th. We have to keep them launched in Paris. We have to rent spaces for events. We have to rent where the conferences are going to take place. So there's a whole lot of things happening that we must pay for, and that's how we're going to make a difference in our country. Cameroon will never be the same again because of what we are trying to do. And I hope we all will do what it takes. I mean, I'm so happy that we have people who know how to make things happen. Elizabeth, Ray, Alan. I mean, just amazing Cameroonians. We hope that our country will change, and I see change happening even before the end of this year. Something important is going to happen before the end of this year, this 2025. I mean, not to talk of 2026. So let's stay in and keep fighting. We'll make a difference in that country. And Cameroon, I can guarantee you, in 2026, Africa will come to learn. People will be wondering what happened in Cameroon. This same country that everybody has given up on is going to change. Anyway, guys, I know I always hate it when I take so much time to talk, but I said Babila and Chrétien were up to speak. If Are and Elizabeth are okay with that, call on one of them to say something.
Babila, please.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you all for what you're doing. In fact, the hope of many Cameroonians is now anchored on what you guys are doing, because the situation is so bad. People are groaning. When you talk to people on the street, you talk to people in the quarters, you talk to people everywhere, the high and the low, the mighty and the small, whatever way we may put it, are groaning. So it's not just about the ordinary poverty, misery, hardship, and so on, but there is something else that is bigger than all of that, bigger than not having food to eat, not having water to drink, and not having healthcare the way it should be, not being able to move from one area to the other. The frustration has gone beyond that. But the thing is that a lot of people, many are groaning under the tables. Many are groaning under the tables. They won't dare to speak out. I mean, even to talk to you, once they discover that you're a journalist, they're scared to speak, because there's just a lot of uncertainty, and there is pretty much that we would have loved to do, but which it is, I don't want to say impossible, but very dangerous, very dangerous. The whole situation is taking a very dangerous twist. Every day or every now and then, my wife is telling me, hey, be careful. My husband, be careful. When she's watching some of my programs and she's listening to the kind of questions that I'm asking people, she's just like, please be careful. And people are calling her from everywhere. Tell your husband to be careful. Tell your husband. I said, no. Yeah, the danger is there, but we must push through. We must push through. But there is really much we would have loved to do, like Senior Eric has been saying, but there are a lot that I cannot even say here. There is a lot that is not said, a lot of things that are happening in the background, a lot of manipulations, and with that intention of shutting down people, with that intention of bringing people to that point where you cannot speak or you cannot say certain things. There are many Cameroonians who have expressed a lot of concerns, even about, you can imagine a channel like Equinos. There are many Cameroonians who have expressed concern that what is happening? Why did you people not talk about this? Why did you not talk about this? Why didn't you? And a lot of things. And you cannot explain, because the situation is such that it's like some people are gathered somewhere thinking every day, strategizing, just waiting for the least thing, and they will pop in and shut down the whole thing. And there's a lot of playing safe that is happening now, a lot of playing safe, a lot of things that are done not in that hard way that we've always been doing things, but trying to kind of play safe. And it is very difficult. But then when we listen to you people, when we listen to, when we follow on with what you're doing, I mean, many Cameroonians like myself, that hope is rekindled in us that better days are ahead, things can still happen, because there are a lot of Cameroonians who are at that point where they are uncertain about everything. They're just like, okay, now he has escaped to Gambia. Now he's not here. What is happening? Is that all? Now he's calling for ghost town. Yes, but what is going to happen? So, you know, a lot of uncertainty and the general atmosphere of uncertainty that is like pushing some to that point of saying, okay, we just have to keep living. We just have to keep going. We just have to keep struggling, and you know, some kind of hopelessness that that is kind of crawling in. And talking about communication, I think that it has to be stepped up, because this is what is building the hope. This is what is building the determination. This is what is helping some who are already like, okay, there is no way out, to think otherwise, to think differently and say, okay, if these people are saying this, if Eric Chinje is saying this thing and insisting, it means knowing him and knowing his person. If Barrister Obenson is saying this, yes, it means there is a way out. So I think that something has to be done, but maybe I'm afraid you must have noticed that we've not come for one of you for quite some time now.
Yes.
And I thought that we're going to do a lot, but there are things I cannot say because it's quite complicated here. It's quite complicated, and we are hoping that we can use other strategies. We can use other strategies to do things to push this agenda. There is no gainsaying about the fact that every Cameroonian is aware, every Cameroonian is conscious, and every Cameroonian wants change, even those that you will not even suspect. Even those that you will not even suspect. They will talk to you on set, they will tell you a lot of things, they will defend and defend, but once you move away from the camera, they will tell you the truth. They'll tell you, look, we ourselves, we're not happy with this. We don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want that. So it's like a general reawakening. A lot of people are saying, okay, I think we need to move out of this. We need to, all this, what I can just call this nonsense has to stop.
Absolutely.
And the death of Anicet Ekane has kind of increased that atmosphere of uncertainty and fear, but at the same time provoking that anger, that quest for a change.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to everybody, it's like, this must not happen again. This shouldn't happen again. But now the question, how to get there.
Yeah.
So that's just what I wanted to share. Fortunately, I have an assignment and I need to
run to
but leave the meeting.
Yeah, but thank you, Babila, for lending your voice to this and bringing a perspective that's incredibly important from the ground in Cameroon, and really lending credence to this notion of what effective communication is and how necessary it is at this time. And this also tells us in the diaspora the role that we have to play in this process, because that's the role our efforts must be complementary. It is not us versus them. It is not the diaspora versus the people in Cameroon. I keep saying that we have a common destiny. We face the same enemy with the same obstacles ahead of us. And each person in their vantage position plays their part. We understand the challenges that those on the ground face, the risk that you face. And so we must be the ones as well lending that voice, because we where you live in perceived safety, But it doesn't mean we're not making sacrifices as well. We're making enormous sacrifices to be able to step up and do this. But everybody has to weigh the risk against the benefit. The benefit for us, the benefit for 30 million Cameroonians far outweighs the risk for one individual. And that is what we must always be thinking about. Is it you, your name, your family, benefiting against 30 million Cameroonians benefiting in this process? I think for too long, this notion of individual responsibility has been twisted in such a way that we do not see ourselves as part of the fabric of the larger society. And every citizen anywhere has responsibility for the future of Cameroon. No one citizen has more responsibility than the other. Obviously, if you are elected to a position, you carry with you the responsibility of the people. But all of us, everywhere, every adult Cameroonian has a responsibility for what has become of Cameroon. In fear, in pain, in sorrow, in joy, we have a responsibility and a part to play in the future of our country. Ignoring that, disregarding that, it's an abdication of that responsibility. And so you bear responsibility for where we are as a country. And now we are calling on everyone to step up wherever you are to play your little part. We're mobilizing the diaspora to play a part. It's your part in this struggle. I know that hundreds, thousands of people in the diaspora are going to be going to Cameroon this December. It is thanks to you that this government is going to be able to generate revenue to be able to pay salaries besides the loan that they are getting. But I want to rest assured there's going to be an effort that's going to tackle the economic aspect of it. And I think maybe next week, that's what we're going to be focusing on. But rest assured that there is going to be an effort in that regard. There are things that you can do, each one of us can do in this December that helps us put the pressure on the government. But let's do these two things that we're focusing today on. One, there are people taking action now in Menganga, and it's extending to Garwa Bulai and up to Betwa. These are Cameroonians who are saying enough is enough. Let us not ignore them. Let us stand in solidarity with them. And if there are other unions that need to say, if our fellow professional drivers are having challenges, why should we wake up and go to work on Monday, leaving our brothers and sisters sleeping in the streets? Teachers, doctors, accountants, taxi drivers, those are all movements that exist for this very purpose, to safeguard the truth. So we're asking people to start thinking about the little things that can be done that can bring this regime to a halt. All peaceful initiatives that would strike a deep blow into the heart of the regime. So let me stop here and I'll turn this to Christian Tabessing, qui est toujours avec nous. Eric avait posé la question pour savoir, vu la situation, cette semaine a été une semaine très, très mouvementée au Cameroun, comme on dit, avec la mort ou l'assassinat de Anicet Ekane. Anicet Ekane, qui à un moment donné, le gouvernement avait dit n'était pas président de Manidem, que après sa mort, après l'assassinat, le même gouvernement dit qu'il était président de Manidem. Et ce matin, j'ai suivi avec beaucoup de peine, l'entretien qui a été accordé par le ministre Atanga, soit disant que Anicet n'était pas mater, et ce n'est pas, il y avait, comme il dit, il faut pas qu'il y ait un amalgame de choses, que le monsieur n'était pas quelqu'un qui militait pour le pays, mais plutôt contre le pays, qui, à mon sens, c'est diabolique, c'est même satanique. Quelqu'un de rendre grâce à tout ce qu'il a dit. D'abord déçu, mais très, très déçu. Et ensuite, on a ce qui se passe maintenant à Manganga avec les chauffeurs, les camionneurs. Quelle appréciation est-ce que tu peux apporter à la situation au Cameroun? Et s'il y a un mot qu'il faut donner à la diaspora, je pense que ça sera une bonne chose.
Ok, merci Harry. J'espère que vous m'entendez là.
Oui.
Très bien. Ok, je tenais d'abord à transmettre mes amitiés et le bonsoir à tous ceux qui sont connectés cet après-midi. Et je tenais aussi à vous féliciter pour ce travail extraordinaire que vous êtes en train de faire depuis un certain temps, parce que c'est pas facile. J'en sais quelque chose. Je suis dans ce combat depuis 30 ans, avec les Anicet d'ailleurs, et les Diocam et tous les autres. Nous avons fait beaucoup de choses depuis 30 ans ensemble. Donc, je tenais à vous féliciter, vraiment à vous remercier et surtout vous encourager. Il va falloir continuer, il faut continuer ce combat malgré ce qui nous arrive. La deuxième chose que je vais dire, je vais intervenir très rapidement sur le rappel que tu as donné tout à l'heure sur l'intervention de monsieur le ministre de l'administration territoriale. Bon, moi, je pense qu'il ne faut pas s'y attarder parce que nous sommes très, très habitués au fait d'armes de ce mois, par exemple. Il devrait peut-être aller relire la Bible et savoir exactement comment Jésus-Christ a été traité et ce qu'on a fait de lui. J'ai l'impression qu'il n'a pas une bonne connaissance de la Bible, donc il devrait s'abstenir de citer Jésus-Christ dans ses insanités. Donc, de ce point de vue, je vais m'arrêter là parce que j'ai pas grand-chose à dire sur ce qu'il a dit. Il a une très, très mauvaise connaissance même de l'histoire du Cameroun, donc, alors, et encore moins de la Bible. Donc, vous comprenez que je vais m'arrêter là. En ce qui concerne la situation au Cameroun, je reviendrai sur le décès de notre compatriote Anicet. En ce qui concerne la situation au Cameroun, je crois que M. Babila vous a très bien expliqué quelle est c'est lourd, la situation elle est lourde. Mon sentiment, c'est que les Camerounais attendent quelque chose de la part du président élu. Les Camerounais sont en attente. Je ne sais pas quoi, mais les Camerounais sont en attente. C'est une atmosphère très, très lourde, très bizarre, et qui met, comme l'a dit M. Babila, mais c'est teinté d'espoir et d'inquiétude en même temps. Lorsqu'on approche les gens, lorsqu'on va dans les familles, on se dit peut-être que le président élu va dire quelque chose qui va peut-être remettre un peu de l'ordre dans la maison, mais toujours est-il dit que c'est pas facile. L'atmosphère est lourde. de part et d'autre. Et je pense que c'est toi qui l'as dit, Harry, c'est de dire que, en fait, la peur a changé de camp, mais c'est depuis un certain temps. Je crois que tu l'as dit tout à l'heure dans ton propos, la peur a changé de camp. Et nous sommes dans une situation qui fait que lorsque quelqu'un a le dos au mur, un animal a le dos au mur, vous pouvez imaginer son comportement, son attitude. Et c'est un peu ce que nous connaissons aujourd'hui au Cameroun. C'est-à-dire qu'ils n'ont plus d'autre solution. Ils ont le dos au mur, ils savent exactement par ce qu'ils ont fait. Et donc, ils peuvent aussi être très, très violents. Parce que, donc, il va falloir que nous essayions de travailler intelligemment, stratégiquement, avec le président, pour voir dans quelle mesure poser des actes qui vont être des actes assez importants pour l'avenir de notre pays. Voilà ce que je peux dire. Bon, maintenant, pour ce qui se passe je dirais, dans le Grand Nord de l'Est, parce que il y a l'Est, il y a l'Est qui se joint. Malheureusement, le centre n'a pas pris, bon, pour toutes les raisons que vous pouvez imaginer, mais toujours est-il dit, les Camerounais en ont ras-le-bol de l'Est à l'extrême nord, en passant par le nord, un peu du côté de l'Ouest, mais dans le Nord-Ouest, ça fonctionne. Donc, je pense aussi que les gens attendent les mots d'ordre. Ils attendent les mots d'ordre pour pouvoir, ils continuent toujours à agir, mais je pense qu'ils attendent les mots d'ordre assez précis pour amplifier les mouvements. Donc, il faut les féliciter, il faut les encourager. Il faut les encourager. Bon, maintenant, nous devons trouver les voies et moyens, comment faire pour qu'ils ne sombrent pas dans le découragement aussi. Et je crois que quelqu'un l'a dit tout à l'heure, et c'est très important, qu'ils sachent qu'il y a des gens qu'on apprécie ce qu'ils font et qu'on les soutient même dans cette voie-là. Donc, il faut trouver les voies et moyens pour pouvoir les atteindre discrètement et surtout discrètement et les encourager dans cette voie parce qu'il n'y a que comme ça, cette pression-là qui fera en sorte de part et d'autre, qui fera en sorte que le moment venu, même avec le mot d'ordre du président, les choses peuvent se décoincer plus rapidement qu'on le pense. Voilà un peu ce que je pourrais dire. Je vais conclure tout simplement sur la mort du président Anicet, que j'avais rencontré une dizaine de jours avant. Je suis allé lui rendre visite, je l'ai vu, on a discuté longuement sur un certain nombre de choses. Je dirais tout simplement que nous sommes dans une phase, je vous tiendrai au courant, il y a un groupe qui travaille avec la famille, qui va commencer à travailler avec la famille pour les obsèques du côté de Douala. On est en train de voir comment nous organiser, nous, du côté de Yaoundé, pour avoir un autre groupe qui va aussi réfléchir et contribuer avec le groupe de Douala pour essayer de renforcer l'organisation de ces obsèques. On est en train de voir. Le moment venu, je vous tiendrai au courant de l'évolution des choses. Voilà ce que je pourrais dire en ce qui concerne. Bon, je suppose que vous avez appris hier soir le groupe, enfin le couple de trois, c'est-à-dire Dieu Kamchameni, le professeur Abba Renaud et Anicet qui faisait partie de cette histoire qui est décédée à la date d'aujourd'hui. Je pense que monsieur le professeur Abba Renaud a été libéré, mais inculpé. Et monsieur Ndjekam a été conduit directement à la prison centrale et inculpé. Bon, donc 2 poids 2 mesures, mais bon, on en a l'habitude. Hein? On va dire ça comme ça. On est en train de voir, on est en train de travailler discrètement, tranquillement, pour voir ce qu'il y a lieu de faire J'ai eu hier soir Alain Foguet, avec qui, bon, il va, comme il a reçu Parfait Voum, il va peut-être aussi recevoir Jokam Chamini, parce que c'est le boss là-bas. Il va les installer, comme il dit, qu'ils viennent, il va les installer. On va suivre ça de très près. Mais tout ça, pour être honnête, ça ne nous fait plus peur, hein, je veux dire. Soyez tranquilles. J'ai eu une Jokam Chamini, il n'est pas du tout, ça ne l'effraie pas. Ça ne l'effraie pas, tout ça. Je l'ai rencontré, on a discuté. Il s'attendait presque à ça. Donc, moi, je dirais tout simplement, et puisque Eric apparaît encore là, je dirais, nous attendons vraiment je dirais des indications pour pouvoir un peu renforcer tout ce qui se fait déjà sur le terrain. Donc, on a le moral, ne vous en faites pas, on a le moral. On croit à tout ça, on a le moral. On a le moral. Et là, je paraphrase ce qu'Anicet m'a dit la dernière fois. Il disait, bon, voilà, ils m'ont pris ceci, je suis souffrant, mais j'ai le moral. Il me dit, mais écoute, il n'y a pas de problème, on va, ça, c'est rien. Il m'a dit ça, il m'a dit, t'es non bon. Voilà le terme qu'il m'a dit. T'es non bon. Voilà. Quand je me suis séparé d'Anicet il y a une dizaine de jours, il m'a dit, t'es non bon. Voilà. Voilà.
Faut tenir jusqu'au bout. Faut tenir jusqu'au bout.
Oui.
On tient. On tient.
Voilà. Donc,
pour sa vie, pour toutes ces arrestations, y compris...
pour tous les autres qui sont partis, pour tous les autres, puisqu'on a parlé, il m'a parlé de ceux qui ont été tués à l'occasion. Il a dit non. Il m'a dit, Tabeti, on ne peut pas. Au point où on en est, on ne peut plus reculer, donc il faut tenir bon. Plusieurs fois.
Comment dire au pays, on est déjà mouillé.
Mouillé, c'est mouillé, donc on est déjà. Voilà, exact.
On doit continuer.
Et surtout courage. Et surtout courage, Harry. C'est très bien le travail que vous faites, qu'Elisabeth, que vous tous vous faites là. Il faut continuer. Vraiment, c'est excellent, c'est très bien.
Merci.
Oui.
En anglais, on dit labor of love, parce que on fait ça pour l'amour de notre pays.
Notre pays.
Yeah.
Exact.
So at this time, I want to thank everyone for being here today. We have spent a significant amount of time just talking about what we came here today to really talk about what next. And what we're leaving here is knowing that what inaction is not an option. That there are things that we must continue doing. One is obviously we're asking for everyone to step up. That if you leave here today, go back to your network and ask people to be part of this campaign. That they dig deep into their pockets and find a way for them to support the efforts. We raised, $35,000, and we brought the government to its knees in the campaign. There is so much more that we can do with just a little more resources. That's the one thing. Two, action. There's going to be a lot of action. One, the event that's coming up in Paris, where we're embarking on an aggressive diplomatic campaign to highlight the injustices that are taking place in Cameroon. But there's a template that we circulated since yesterday in our WhatsApp platforms that we're asking people to bombard their local politicians in the various countries in which they live in. Write to Marco Rubio, to write to Yvette Cooper at number 10 in the UK, write to the French government. We're going to be asking if we can send 1,500 letters to these email addresses that have been provided, really highlighting the current situation in Cameroon with the assassination of Anicet Ekane. That will draw the attention of the world. Send that to BBC, send that to all these international medias that you can readily find their addresses online with just an email. In some cases, you can even do that with WhatsApp, for example. BBC has that. Al Jazeera has that. You can send them this information by WhatsApp, so there is a conversation. Today, we're also going to be having a letter. We're asking people to send a letter to the president of Gambia. The president of Gambia that is hosting Issa Chiroma, and asking for them to continue in solidarity to create an environment that would allow us to continue to make this effort. So that's also going to be going out, and we're asking for everyone. Those are simple things that we all can do. So those two things are happening, and then obviously, I must overemphasize the need for continuous financial contributions that would support the efforts that are taking place. It always seems impossible until it is done. It always seems impossible until it is done. That's a quote from Nelson Mandela. At this moment, because of the past 43 years, it seems impossible for us to get rid of this regime. If we accept that, then it would be impossible. But if we refuse to accept it, then we can change that. And we can change that by the little action that we do. Ask people to own this. Do not look at this as that's for some people to do. It's for all of us to be part of. So be part of this campaign. Step up. Do something. Let's, we be part of it. It's yours to fight as well as it's mine to fight, all with a common goal that we should have a president in a country that we deserve, not one that is imposed on us. And I'm going to end here, except there are any other contributions that have to be made. Eric, Eli, without which I would say we've spent the last 2.5 hours. It's been incredibly enriching, inspiring for me, and I hope that it's been the same for you. And we will be back again next week. Last week we said that we'll be back next week, and then Monday, everything, the wheels fell off with the assassination of Anicet Ekane. We're monitoring the situation that's going on now in Manganga, that's extending now to Betwa in the Eastern Province. We will keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you updated in the forum. So if you're not part of the WhatsApp group, it's an opportunity for you to join. This information would also be shared on the various platforms as we get involved. For now, our goal is to support people who are taking action on the ground. So get a cow for those people. Get a cow for the hundreds of drivers that are standing up for justice. Support them. Get bottles of water so that they can sustain the resistance, so to speak. But that's what we can do. And then let's all invest in the December 15 event that's going to take place in Paris, where we want to demonstrate to the international community just how, as Ate put it, the death of democracy has been in Cameroon. Eric, I see that you came on. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just my final thoughts on goodbye word. Look, final thoughts. I want everybody to pay attention to what will be happening in the coming weeks with regard to it. We talked about exposing Cameroon. I'm sure lots of you have no real, do not have a good sense of what happened to the bishop of Obala, to Waziri, the journalist, to Zogo Martinez, to, I mean, the host of them. We will shed light on all of this. And in the process, just so we don't forget, and we need to remind ourselves, I think, as we go forward, there are people in the jails of Yaoundé that should not be there. As a matter of fact, I wanted one of them to call me today so that he could give you a peek into where he is in Kondengui. I talk to him. I talk to them all the time. I wanted him to give you a peek, but we thought about it, and it felt like he will, he'll run into trouble if he did that. But at an individual level, he can show us how they live in that place. Kondengui was built for 800 people. It has thousands, over 20,000. People sleep on each other. People die almost every day in Kondengui. That's why I say information is what will be the truth, as I already said, will save us. Yes, information will take us towards salvation. If we know genuinely what is going on in the country, we will rise and say, enough is enough. But that as it may, we will keep doing what we are doing. So over the next few weeks, this whole story of Martinez Zogo, of Bishop Bala, of Waziri, of Anna Anicet, all of that will come out. We're working towards that. So please help join that process. We all need to, and part of joining the process is for you to make sure this information, when it does come out, reaches everybody. Again, as Ari was saying, let your local politicians see it and know it. Let's put it out there so that it can help our cause. Information is what this regime is most afraid of. Let's put the spotlight on them so that they know where we're going. So next week will be a very we'll also try to make sure that we update everybody on the major things happening. There are quite a few things happening. Besides, Menganga, there are other places catching on. We will just, try to make sure. I'll ask Leopold, who discusses these things with me. I don't know why he's standing in the background. He could have, shed some light on a lot of things happening. But we'll make sure that from next week on, we have people reporting from different parts of the country. So you have a good sense of what is actually happening and have all of this come together in your mind as in our mind. So thank you all very much. Take good care. Have another good week.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good week, everybody.
The recording has stopped.